Okay, folks. Happy Friday. Well, technically, it's not Friday. It won't be Friday until 10 hours from now. $11 from now, something like that. So here's the two finished Crusaders, except for that actually worked well, except for the photo etch parts. And they've got, a lot of the stuff that can be removed from them for painting purposes. And I can pull the holes apart, that sort of thing. I don't know, a pretty good model. I don't know that the rivets are kind of undersized, or maybe they're the real size they should be. So they might be a little bit of a challenge to get them to pop as easily as maybe on some of the other models that I have, but really shouldn't be much of an issue. I suspect these will paint up very nicely. Now, before I get bogged down with this, and considering I don't have the right bit to do these, to break these off, I'm going to forego doing the photo etch at this moment. And let's put another one together. We got 6 to do. So, oh, this is one that's full. I was expecting this to be empty. Nope. Collapsible box. Should have another one of those little photo etch sheets. Getting some free ASMR with that. I actually like hearing that. I'm not an ASMR fan, but I like hearing unboxing stuff. All right, as we well know, let's take a swig. This is so really the only thing I don't like about plastic models is all this debris. The plastic debris that ends up on my floor. front of the turret. And the turret box. And the business end. The business end. None of your business. Uh-oh. It's like some of that was flexing, and some of these parts, even though you cut far away from them, sometimes the joint has been flexed in whatever travels this piece has gotten to before it got to me. But that's an easy fix. Yeah, so there's all this debris. I don't have carpet. That'd be annoying if you had to pour carpet. Patty Green. How many Crusaders do I have? Well, I have 2 of them painted. Not 2 of them painted. 2 of them built. But I don't know if you're familiar with S model, but the thing that's really cool about them is that they go together so well that I have, well, the turret's not going to be attached, that I've actually got it so I can break them apart. See, none of this is glued yet. So when it comes to spraying, I'm going to be able to get it in there and actually, especially with the primer, I want everything black before I start adding color. And it just saves me a lot of time and being able to do that. But I've got 2 of them built, and I got 4 more to do. And they're almost all going to be Crusader 1s. But I'm going to save the hatches, and I'm probably going to make them so I can switch them out later. But that's really the only difference on them. And I'm in the middle of doing my Crusader research right now, so I'm probably going to mess with the tank numbers and probably going to give them unique names based on kind of the theme that they have going on. And each unit, either there's no information on them, or they give you hints as to, oh, these have a unit number, it starts with the letter F, or this kind of thing. So I like doing that. That's the kind of research I like doing, and that information is out there. But yeah, so we've got a few more to do, and it's one of my favorite tanks. It's probably my favorite British tank. I say that carefully because I like so many tanks. I've said before, I like most of them. I like most countries, every tank that they do. There's exceptions. So it'd be very difficult for me to say, what's your favorite tank, period? I don't have one. Because there's so many that I like. My favorite British tank? Probably this one. Although I like the A13 a lot too. The A13 just has funky wheels. It's got wheels like, like they put the tank together. They're like, "Oh, ready for inspection, sir?" And you're like, what about the wheels? Oh, just grab some tables there, and we'll attach them. It's almost like an afterthought, the detail on the wheels. Oh, Matilda. Do I like it more than Matilda? God, it's difficult to say. It's more attractive than the Matilda, because the Matilda, if you're able to, the Matilda 2, obviously, the Matilda 1 is an eyesore of eyesores. It looks bad in every way possible. And I don't plan on doing BEF stuff. I don't plan on doing BEF stuff at this moment. And I'm probably never going to get to BEF stuff. There's just, There's other things that I'm not going to get to that I'm going to get that I have more interest in BEF things. But this thing looks attractive even with the wheels off, with the side skirts off, whereas the Matilda 2 does not. The Matilda 2's turret was what's really attractive. It's got a lot of shapes, a lot of different shapes, which of course is a pain to manufacture, but we're building models and playing with toys. We don't care about that. We piss on practicality. Did you do any 20 mil? Somebody was suggesting to me, he said, should get the Dan Taylor Model Works detail set for the Crusader. Well, that's all fine and good, but it costs more than both of the tanks, and you only get one tank. So the conversion kit for one tank costs more than both of these kits combined, and I still have to ship it across the big blue pond. So I don't think I'll be doing that. I'm going to be using a mixture of 3D printed models and actual plastic models like this one for this project. And, we'll get them as accurate as we can. Some things are more important to me than others. Some people are like real anal retentive about, oh, this doesn't have the right tracks or anything. Or, I'm going to go with whatever tracks it has on them, even if it's wrong. That's just something that doesn't interest me a whole lot. I can't be anal retentive about everything. Markings are what I'm more anal retentive about. And paint schemes and yeah, this has got this boogered up on the back here. We're just going to go ahead and remove that. No 20 mil for me, all 15. Talking about research, I'm about to start a DBA goth army, and I'm looking at yours as a guide. Thank you. I see it's pretty colorful. Was that researched and deliberate? So, I don't do DBA anymore, but I love to talk about that stuff. And I don't know if I'll paint ancients and medievals again. But if I do, it won't be for DBA. But if I do, it will be for a DBA size game. So I like the concept that you have this unit that may only have 3 figures on it, but it may represent 1,000 people or 750 or something like that. So when you're creating, I learned a lot of things building the DBA armies. And one of the things I learned is most of the armies are made up of peasantry that just show up. That just show up on the battlefield. Right? They're called up and they don't have any equipment, they don't get anything handed to them. They got to come up with their own things. And then you got nobles that have some stuff. Whatever it is, there's always a high-ranking guys that are more prettily dressed. Goths would fall into that category. You're going to have the guys that have money, the tribesmen, they're at the top of the hierarchy and everything. They're going to have the money. Well, money means color. So the other thing that you need to keep in mind is if you're building 2 armies, like say you're building Goths and you want to build somebody maybe to fight the Goths, that may not be the Romans, or you're going to build another barbarian army, you somehow have to, because I don't build things with the intention of reusing figures. Good morning, Marcus. So you have to make the 2 opposing sides look different from each other somehow. So that if they have similar looking figures, you're not like, is that a Goth or is that a Gepid? Okay? Or a Alemanni. So mixing with linens and alternating the look and stuff. I've done the Valachians. I had to do that way, which are basically peasantry. A couple of Middle Eastern things the same way. How do you do all that kind of stuff and modify it? So with the Goths, it seemed like there was a couple of things, and I look at other people's renditions as inspiration, and sometimes I agree with it, and sometimes I don't. And the thing that seemed like with the Goth is the guys that ride horses have money, because horses are really, really expensive. So generally, the guys that are riding horses are gonna have more color than the guys on foot. The only reason the guys on foot would have much color is if they raided and took items from the people that they raided from. So what I try to kind of do it is like, okay, what colors are we going to use that are like non-colorful colors? Okay, linens, off-whites, maybe some browns, grays, because maybe they were white things that just got washed or got dirty, that kind of stuff. Those kind of things, and occasionally a colored item. So when I'm doing like peasants and stuff like that, and it's guys that have some kind of raiding ability to them, I don't put more than like one, and I'm just going from memory because I could be wrong. I don't put more than one item of clothing that's colorful on them, because you want them to look like they don't have enough money to be one of the guys that's riding a horse. Now the guys that are riding the horse, and this goes for pretty much all the Germanic barbaric type people like that. Maybe not the Huns, maybe not the Mongols, but one of the things that they seem to spend a lot of money on is their capes. They always have capes that are colorful. So you're not going to see some guy run around with a cape that's white. Okay, they're wearing, a colorful cape. Don't use purple, okay, but a colorful type cape. Embroidered somehow. And they like using pants that have a stripe along the side. But not every of them. Or cuffs. Or they're cuffed with designs. And same thing with the shirts. You'll have a shirt at the bottom of the shirt will have like a cuff. So I just go and I do a Google image search. Goth Army or Goths or this kind of stuff. Or I go to one of these places like God, who's the guys that have a ton of stuff on there? These 28 millimeter manufacturers have great examples of some of them. Gripping Beast, things like that. You got coffee. There you go. You're awake. So I've got the references, but a lot of this stuff is missing. The stuff that we want to know is missing. Especially when you're looking at ancient stuff, because when I went and when I was doing DBA, I always would tell people, I am a World War II guy. It just happens to be that I'm doing ancients and medievals. And, in World War II, I complained like, man, why isn't this picture in color? I want to know exactly what color it is. And you get to do ancients and medievals, and man, I wish there was something that was even known about this civilization. There's so many missing pieces, it's just ridiculous. So a lot of this stuff you need to make up, but I always go with the idea that I'm going to build the army that I'm going to build a match pair with these guys. So if I'm going to do Goths, I'm going to do whoever's, and if they face off again, like let's say you're going to do Visigoths and Ostrogoths. Okay, I have an Ostrogoth army, and I had an intention to do a Visigoth army, and if they were going to face each other, somehow they needed to look different from each other enough. Even though in real life they may not have, but I would have done them. Like maybe one guy uses more cross type things on their shields, and the other one does more tribal stuff, or one guy's peasantry is predominantly like an off-white, and the other one is more like a beige. But you got to make like when the skirmishers are facing each other, I feel like they need to look different from each other, so that you can tell them apart. They don't need to look dramatically different from each other, but barely awake. Well, you have the day off, or you got to go to the salt mines today. People are astounded, and I've done this for over 20 years now, waking up at this time. Or earlier. I used to get up at 4. People are astounded. Phone restarted. That's nice. Now get rid of this notification. I actually restarted. I went ahead and did this update so you'd leave me the hell alone. You happy now? Okay. I've been doing this for over 20 years because people are actually floored that I would wake up at the same time on the weekends. I'm like, why not? People, you dread Monday anyways. Well, imagine how much more you'd dread it if you had to get up earlier than you normally do. But maybe you live alone and don't have small children or something like that. You're making breakfast for the missus before she comes home. Finally got her, that's right, because she works at night. Finally got her car fixed, so I'm not having to pick her up. Did you fix it yourself, or did you send it in? Last weekend, I spent a lot of time working on my car. And I had to take the front of the car apart 3 times on 3 different days. And every time I mess with it, I get better at it. The problem with working on the car, and I was working on the car there was nothing wrong with the car. I was doing a light upgrade. I put fog lights in. And the worst thing about working on the car, at least my experience was, you have to fight everything the entire time. Oh, you watch the YouTube video. Oh, just pop these off. Boop, boop, boop. You go to pop them out. Mother, you can't, or unclick this thing and click this other one back that you're going to replace it with, and you can't unclick the damn thing because you got to press down. You don't pull them out. You got to press down on something and then pull it out, and you can't press down on it because it's so freaking hard. It's just fighting every single thing on the way. So something that would normally take 2 hours takes 6. And that's with the weather being good, because it was nice weather for that. But it is empowering, I think, to do it yourself. But you got to watch the video and go, well, yeah, I can handle this. I can build tiny And the other thing that's really annoying is I have a really good attention to detail. So it's really frustrating when you're having so much trouble when something's so much bigger. I did what you could, but it was saving up the money to do a proper job. Her power steering pump went out and locked the front tires in place. Oh, wow. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do anything with that either. This is going to sound stupid, or maybe it doesn't. I would like to moonlight, or maybe not moonlight, but intern for no pay. It doesn't have to be for any pay, but I can leave at any moment. Well, you can leave at any moment on your regular job too, but once a month, go to whatever dealership your car is. In my case, it'd be a Subaru. Go to a Subaru dealership and say, hey, I want to work on, I want to do valve jobs or whatever the hell I'm doing, so that I could become more familiar with the car that I have. I would sign up for that. I think it would be really interesting. I think it would be really interesting. Now, if you're hopping around from car brand to car brand, it's probably not a good idea, but I would love to do that. There's people a lot dumber than I am, and I'm not the most intelligent person, but I'm smarter than most people. I know that's not saying anything. At least I got some fire in me, right? Most people don't have any fire in them. And I know one of the big reasons why, and I don't do that stuff. But I would love to do that. And I'm not a mechanic headed person. I think it'd just be cool. There's just so much stuff out there that you can fiddle with your own vehicle that it would be, I don't know, it would open the pores in your mind. I've also said it would be cool if there was a community, but they'd ruin it. I mean, they haven't even done it yet, and it's already been ruined. Yeah, you would come in. There would be some place like if I had my own lift, so you could look underneath there and go, hey, this is getting worn out, or you could have a community thing, and that's starting to sound dirty, the way I'm wording it, but you could have some group where people would come and they could work on their cars and stuff, but them punks would ruin it, and they'd be vaping shit, and it's already ruined. They'd already been misbehaving, and okay. Am I going to? Nah, we can fix this afterwards. I mean, in other words, we can fix it while it's on here. So, I need to do some research. Oh, I'm actually doing it right now. Oh, it's at the top where it is. Okay, well, that's even easier to reach. I need to do some research on turret numbers because I'm probably going to jumble these all up, these decals, and just change the numbers of them. I actually found the document on the A13s that tells me all the series of numbers, where they're at. These were ordered and they're number T16 through something something da da da. It's that Gen X can do attitude. Well, we can't do everything. I want to do stuff I'm interested in, and there's lots of stuff I'm not interested in. It's just like reading. Somebody was telling me the other day, and I hear this actually pretty frequently. I don't like to read. Bullshit. Reading is good for you, and you can find stuff you're interested in. The problem is the stuff they assign you in school is garbage. It's absolute garbage, and it's a topic that doesn't interest you. And my daughter actually told me that when they pick books now, they actually find a topic that nobody likes. I never read any of that classic crap. The topics are boring, and I love to read. Because I'm like inquisitive, like, I wonder what this kind of stuff. I'm like reading stuff, I'm reading like technical stuff on my own. But, there'll be parts that I'm not interested in, So, well, I'm only into sports. I don't like to read. Well, read sports books, man. I'm sure there's a lot of really good ones. It helps with your spelling. It helps tremendously with your spelling. I'm an excellent speller. Not necessarily when I type, because I'm a dyslexic typer. I'll get all the letters there, but they'll be in the wrong order. So I'll have to proofread my own stuff, and I'll be in a hurry, and then type something, and damn it, or I fat-fingered it, and it's annoying, Talking with mechanics is full of ironic innuendos. Yeah. Yeah, they're really good at some things, and then not so much at others. It's funny how people are really specific. There's a lot of people are just like real fanboys about stuff for no good reason. And that goes with everything. I don't know what it is about where this little piece, but it always pops the very edge of this little tray. So we might have to go and patch all those little trays. It's very, very minor, but I see it there. You'll see it with miniatures, paint manufacturers, airbrushes, firearms, cars, just people that are they're on a crusade, and they can't say anything they can't say anything good about the competition. If you have some kind of show and tell, there's some people that just like, it makes them less of a man to say something nice about what you did or what you bought or whatever. You know, you don't have to make up stuff. But, you know, if you like something, just sell somebody you like something. Not like, oh, I better not tell them and make me listen to a man. Okay, little dick. You know, like, what's your problem, man? And I figured, oh, maybe it's just only the gamers that are weird that can't do stuff like that. You know, maybe it's just gamers. Then you go and get involved in, you know, target shooting, and then half the people there are like, you got a piece of shit, mine's better than yours, no good. You know, it's a people problem. Same thing with cars. You know, you go to a car show and you know people are that way. So I don't really want to associate with folks that are on a crusade. I mean, I've got my opinions, but then, you know, I'm willing to change them if you give me the right evidence. Don't do my own car. I want it to run. And it's never interested you. I just think that the internet is just YouTube alone, man. Like, how do you do this? And like, you do it, and you're like, man, that's like empowering. It is, you know? I want to get one of those doohickeys that you hook up to the car and it tells you what the fault codes are. They're only about $100. So, because I followed all the instructions that I was supposed to do on my project last weekend. I just switched out the horns, painted the horns, switched out the horns, and installed the fog lights, and installed the clear yellow on the fog lights. They come in white. No, I want yellow fog lights. And the people that make that product, fucking amazing. You've got a domed light, and you have this thing that's just shaped like a circle. You're like, man, it's going to be a problem when you get to the corners. It's going to crimp. I don't know what the hell they made that stuff out of. Between that and my patience, piece of cake. It was an excellent product called Laminix or something like that. That went great. Painting the horns, okay, well, I got to take them apart. Shit, each one of them's got 12 little bolts. Take the 12 little bolts off. All right, well, that's easy. I got screwdrivers galore, right? Nope, you need to hold the backside because it was spinning while you know, just fighting little things along the way. But it got done, and it looks good. But one of the things I didn't know is I didn't realize that 5 hours wasn't enough to do that project. So I was rushing towards the end to put everything back together. And cars freak out when you leave things unplugged. And I mean something that you don't even need to use. If it's unplugged, the car computer will just freak the hell out. And it'll act like it's the end of the world. So I had to figure out, well, what's wrong with it? I ended up taking to the, you know, why is my cruise control disabled because of that? And sometimes these people that do instructional videos, they leave steps off. So you have to figure things up like, you have this, buy this product and it should have this connector. And you go and it's like, crap, it's not there. It's at the other horn. So, you know, every time I mess with a car and I mess with it, I don't know, half dozen times, a dozen times, something like that. I learned something new. So, it's exactly like airbrushing. Don't make any fucking plans. How long is this going to take? You don't know. You have no idea how long it's going to take. Just make sure you do it on a day you got plenty of time and there's clear weather. You don't know how long it's going to take. You know, oh, you got to buy a lift. I didn't buy a lift. I didn't buy ramps or anything. And I'm out of shape. And I was able to get underneath it. You know, when you don't use ramps or anything, you don't have to worry about the car falling on you. Actually, if the car fell on you, unless you have a really fat face, it wouldn't hit you in the face anyways. But, you know, I want to put mud flaps on my car. Well, I realized to put mud flaps on, I got to take the wheel off. Well, in order to take the wheel off, I know you're getting complicated here. You know, I probably would want to get some kind of a wrench where I could decide how much torque it's going to have. You know, so little things like that. I'm like, okay, well, one step at a time. You know? But that is the worst thing. You buy an older car and you can just, I need to fix that. And you go in and you pull that one thing out and you fix that or replace it or whatever. With the new ones is, all right, you got to take out 12 things and they have to be in a certain order and to get to the one item, you know. You can do simple stuff like oil changes, coolant, batteries. I don't like to mess with a battery. I'm scared. There's just some things that I haven't been educated by somebody. Batteries scare me. Things that involve propane scares me. I don't like messing with a propane grill. It's voodoo. I'd rather have guns. Guns don't scare me. Like, you point it that way, you're not going to shoot yourself if it goes that way. I don't do crazy shit with guns. I'm just saying that, some people are freaked out by different things. Some people are freaked out by, oh, why are you scared of battery? You're a pussy. Why are you scared of a spider? He's only this big. I had a spider that was on my leg at the dinner table. He must have come in. And he's actually a cute kind, a little jumping spider. He's probably about that big around. Not his body. That would be too much. All around like this. I could feel him crawling around. I'm like, oh, get out of here. Yeah, I killed him. He's inside. Sorry. He didn't have his papers. Batteries, head, tail lights. Yep. Did you know that if you replace... this has not happened to me personally, but if you replace a lot of things with LED... they don't have enough resistance and they don't work correctly. We went and replaced a bunch of our things in our fleet at work, and we had to dial them back and put conventional bulbs in some of them because they weren't providing enough resistance and the flashes wouldn't work and stuff like that. Didn't know that. Only been bit by a battery. It just scares the crap out of me. The idea of I'm like flinching thinking about it. Everybody's scared of something. Everything else depends on the vehicle and if I can get to a manual for it. Suspension. But I think it's interesting, man. If I had access to a lift, and I did as a 14 and 15-year-old, there was a family friend that had their own shop. And I worked, I don't know if they paid me. If they did, it was very little. Is that illegal? Whatever. I didn't like summers. I always got to do something I didn't want to do. But anyways, yeah, I've done like sanded the valves for a valve job, and I'd sign up for that shit. The worst thing about I think the worst thing about doing mechanic stuff is you're in a hot environment. Not even the dirty environment, the hot environment. And I'm in a hot environment enough as it is, anyways. But I think it'd be worth it if you're learning more about the particular car you have. Maybe it's not even on necessarily your car, but on other cars like yours. I think that would be beneficial. I think it would be beneficial. I mean, I'm interested in it. I understand why it wouldn't appeal to everybody, but I think it's kind of fascinating because there's some things you can't ask online because, people in car groups are horrendously bad. Somebody will come in with like a question on one of the car groups and, oh, you need to change your blinker fluid. They're just smart asses. Like, okay, it was funny the first 2,000 times you said that, but like, stop being a dick, My dad and granddad brought me up messing with cars and old farming equipment. Now, farming equipment doesn't sound like any fun. I also learned from trial and error. Yeah, we all do. Because taking car to a mechanic is expensive. Yeah. Anything you can do yourself, it's empowering. It saves you money. It still costs you time while you're doing it. And the problem is you take it and you don't know how long they're going to keep it for. I don't do my own oil because, like, where are you going to put it? Now I got to, you can't just dump it in your backyard. Even though I'm sure there's people that do that. Okay, so we don't need to glue this. Which way is front? This way, okay. And it's a British tank, so the sprockets go to the back. Well, we've been watching that Churchill at War thing. It's okay. The daughter's been watching. I said, we're gonna watch stuff that when we go to Britain, you'll know more about it than you already does. And my daughter's not ignorant when it comes to that, but you know, she's gonna be ready to give a presentation at the Imperial War Museum. You know. What's this little American girl know? More than you? You dump your used oil at the dump. They got a dispenser you can just put it along with it. Used oil filters. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. How do you do on the, what do you do for a lift so that the car is level so when you get the oil out, it's not stuck in one part of it? Because that's the problem, is I could use ramps, but then, you know, it's tilted and you're not going to get it all out. Or I shouldn't worry about that. I'm not opposed to doing that, especially in this kind of weather, man. It was freaking, I like being outside when it's freaking 40 degrees and 50 degrees. Hell, I can't airbrush. I shouldn't airbrush. I got the guy across the street, man. He's a super nice guy, and he's got 6 head of cars, and I think there's only 3 of them out there. And he's always working on the cars. He might have one of those wives that he doesn't want to be around. I had another neighbor that was like that at the other neighborhood. He was always outside. He'd go out and mow the lawn. In 100-degree weather, he'd start mowing at 1 in the afternoon. Like, what are you, a fucking sadist? No, he's a Satanist is what it is. He wants to feel the heat. If I'm doing yard work, man, I want to do it when it's cool. And if you gotta do it in the summertime, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna start that as early as I can. Yeah, these things fit together so freaking well. They can make quality things in China. When are you coming up to the UK, and what is this about the Imperial War Museum? So, let me give you the short version. My daughter is, I have to think about how old she is. 19 going on 20. And she's in college, and she is, what's the word for it? She's exchange studenting in college for 1 semester starting in late January of 2025. And so our plan was, well, in Spain, in Sevilla. I can't say the name of that city, the anglicized version of it. It's so weird to call it that. Sevilla. So that's where she's going to be in for, I guess, 4 months or something like that. So we're going to take her over there and do the trip that we've been wanting to go to Spain forever. I've never been to Europe. It's just too damn far away. It's too much time off. So, and we're flying in due to cost into London. And we had to screw with the days of how long we stayed. So I'm like, we're going to be able to be there another couple days on the whole trip. I'm like, well, let's do 2 days in London. That way we get to see stuff. And I'm a bit disappointed that London is not, it seems like I would love to go to the Tank Museum, but the Tank Museum it's like, you know, flying into New York and the Tank Museum's in Buffalo or you know, somewhere else. So we won't have that kind of transportations. But I'm looking around like, what is the best places for me to check out in London? Because I don't give a shit about going to markets and stuff like that, you know. But so it looks like the Imperial War Museum is probably the best place for me to go. You know, and it's free. Oh, it's no additional cost. You have ramps and a concrete pad in front of the shed to do oil changes, so I'm not on the dirt. So I'm going to be 2 days in London. We're flying in. We're going to get in like 7 a.m. And then we're there all that day. And then the next day, the whole next day. And then the following day we fly into Madrid. So, and then the rest of the time we're in Spain. We're gonna rent a car in Spain. Gonna go to Gibraltar, and one of you guys said that they drive on the correct side of the road. Good, because then I'd be like, here, wife, you drive. I'm not driving on that British wanky side. I don't need to relearn that muscle memory stuff. We're gonna have a problem. But only going to spend one night. It's going to be rushed. Even though we're 2 weeks, everything's going to be rushed. Go here one day. I mean, we got it all planned out. And one of the things you have to consider is the day you go to a town, the stuff you want to go to needs to be open, because it's weird. Some things, like on Mondays, are closed. So like on one of the Mondays, we're going to be in the Spanish capital, and like the places we want to go to are open on that day. Thankfully, you can do that. Like, I'd hate to hey, you go to this town. Oh crap! Everything I want to go to is closed. Like, that'd be a bummer, because I mean, I'm 53 years old and I haven't been to Europe once. It's not likely I'm going to go to Spain again. It's not likely. It is just too difficult to take time off. Forget the cost. Let's say it was free. Hey, you can go on this trip free every year. I'll pay you for it. It's just too difficult to take time off. We're overworked here. Imperial War Museum has a Jagdpanzer V with cutout panels. Spent hours looking at that. British drive on the wrong side of the road. Yeah, I wrote the book on that. I'm okay with the metric system. I don't like metric temperature. I could deal with that. I'm not driving on the wrong side of the road. Forget it. And then shift here? Forget it. Nope. And then just to screw with you, the pedals are the same. Like, no. Flip the pedals in. I mean, go all the way. And I would love the car rental to be a stick shift, but it's going to be underpowered compared to what I'm used to. So it'll just be an automatic. So I plan on videoing a fair amount of it and putting it on the channel. That's my intention, anyways. We'll see if that happens. I'm not going to be able to do live. I don't think the whatchamacallit connection is going to be good enough. But her mom, my wife's mom, travels a lot. Like, travels too much. Like, I wouldn't want to travel that much. And she goes from church to church to church to church to church this and church that and the other church. Mine's going to be castle this and castle that and the other castle and the other, So, it's going to happen in about a month or so. So, my daughter's back from her schooling. So, we've been trying to get background information on a lot of these places that we're going to go. So that when you get there, if you don't have a guide, we'll know what the hell we're looking at. Or we have a sense of putting it all together. Or more or less, she will. So, also think of looking at the National Army Museum in London. Okay, I'm going to check it out. What about the British Museum? Think it's worth going to? That's the one where they got all the mummies. None of that's a problem with my daughter. My wife's, she's not a museum person. So, National Army Museum. Somebody was suggesting Churchill War Rooms. And I looked at some of the videos and I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's cool, but I have very little amount of time. There's three of us. There's three of us to drink. So that's going to be like, we'll be able to hit pubs 3 times as often and share one beer. That's one thing I love doing with my family. Like, go order a beer and we all drink from it. It's not to get trashed, not even to get a buzz, but it's just having an appetizer. So, plan on doing that. Plan on doing a pub crawl. Not a crawl, because we won't be crawling, but National Army Museum. Okay. Yeah, I like the Imperial War Museum because it doesn't have anything. It's all World War I and World War II, right? Yeah. The heck with that other stuff. I don't need to go to anything Tudor-centric, But then I realized, I'm like, man, there's only one hobby store that's in there. But even if I bought stuff at Hannett's, I have no way of bringing it back. I mean, we're only bringing a carry-on. So we got to pack light. And if I want something that badly, I'll just mail order it when I leave, and then when I come back from my trip, it'll be here. No waiting time at all. But, there's not a lot of stuff in London. I'm like kind of surprised, but the same thing. That's like saying you went to New York and they didn't have anything in New York. Well, New York isn't America. Sorry, folks. Sorry, Marcus. Marcus, New York isn't America. Oh, I went to the United States. Where'd you go? New York. Well, you didn't see America. Thankfully, the United States is not like that. Or I wouldn't live here. Gotta go buy. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta go. I just hope I can fall asleep on the plane, and I doubt it. I am not a. I don't like aircraft. I don't like aircraft. I don't like turbulence. I think it's cool, but it's also very surreal. It's like doing drugs, man. Well, I don't know. I've never done drugs, but you're seeing things turn into a train layout, and it's weird, man. It's like an outer body experience. And I look out there. It's not like I get airsick. I don't have, motion sickness issues. And I don't want to fly with some clown that wants the window closed. No, it's like you don't get an opportunity. But it's just really weird. It must be with people that go on a cruise ship and they're scared of the water. I'm like, joke's on you. We're water people. All I got to say is God bless Texas. So Texas does have the best flag in the United States. There's no doubt about that. Tennessee's number 2. The problem with Texas is I don't want to build boots to everything. I don't want to wear cowboy boots to anything. But I actually like Texas as its own. I have no problem with Texas. Where does the time go? Had my head down cleaning the Grant tank at 6:30. Gotta run. Have a great day and see you this weekend, hopefully. Barbecue is awesome. Okay. Have the best gun shows. Okay. Met some beautiful women there, and there's so much to do. There are, and it's like several different states, because the south part of Texas isn't the same part as the west, isn't the same part of Houston. I've only been to Houston because we almost moved there. Instead of coming to this part of Florida, in 1980, we almost went to Sugar Land. My dad was weighing jobs. I don't know if I'd like Texas, and it's not for the reasons I want to mention. I don't want to live in a place in the United States, and when you go there, everybody looks at you like, what are you doing here? I'm like, what are you talking about? You're the ones that just got here. I don't like going places where people don't come together. So like I wouldn't want to live in Miami. Miami's like its own thing. It's beautiful, but everybody there wants to act like, not become a part of a group. They want to be their own little niche. And I'm like, I don't want to live in a place like that. I want to live in a place like that. So, is there somewhere where barbecue sucks though? True story. When I went to Mexico in the summertime, we flew in through Dallas, Fort Worth. And we had so much trouble leaving Mexico because they had a protest. It was a non-violent protest, but those motherfuckers shut everything down. And the police wouldn't move them. I'm like, that's the last time we're going to a third world country. And we didn't have a bad experience. I'm not going to a third world country. I'm not going to a country where it's like, people can do whatever they want, the police can't do anything. Well, they're infringing on our freedom. Yeah, but they have a right to be here. Well, I'm not going to your fucking country. That wouldn't happen in the United States. There'd be a shootout. The piece of vigilante shit going on. So no more third world countries. I got to get back to work, man. I got very limited time off, and I can't just be like, well, I couldn't leave the country kind of shit. Like, they shut down the entire airport. The teachers. Ooh, super violent, you know? So, but when I got back to Dallas Fort Worth, I literally went and I kissed the first thing I came in. I love this country. I absolutely love this country. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but I'm used to the freedoms and stuff that we have here and how people behave, generally how people behave, you know. North Carolina's no good. Theirs is like vinegary, isn't it? The ketchup-based barbecue is a heresy. I hate ketchup. I love barbecue stuff, though. I don't like baked beans, though. Or I've never had any baked beans I like. But that's it. Oh, mesquite. There's nobody likes mesquite more than me. No one. Although, don't ever go to Buc-ee's and get their mesquite chips. They suck. That's the only mesquite thing I have had that's not worth a shit. I love mesquite stuff. When I went to Texas the first time, well, see, the first time, it was in the 2000s. I was floored that they could smoke in the restaurants. Like, that's just like an ulterior, and it used to be like normal, but it's like, you go to I'm sure they don't allow it now, but it was like, it's a different, like, world. Nobody has good gun shows anymore. People that want to, like, sell crap for stuff it's not worth, people that don't want to pay anything for it. It's just basically like going to a movie. You pay your $5 or $6 and you look around. I should do a video. Of course, I don't go to them very often. I should do a video of a gun show. Freak people in Europe out. Oh my God, all those guns laying there. Yeah, and they're not loaded. Like, what's the problem? And nobody's pointing them at anybody, and they're not loaded. Like, and I didn't grow up with a dad that I got to do that with. That's kind of one of my regrets is my dad never. I kind of had to learn stuff on my own, which is, I guess, probably good because it wasn't really tinted. It wasn't really affected by somebody else's opinion. And I did it in a time where there's lots of information available. Yeah, but a lot of gun show people, they're know-it-alls. Oh, I don't. That was a piece of shit. I got 12 of them, and they're like, well, if they're a piece of shit, why you got 12 of them? South Carolina has vinegar and mustard base. Oh, oof. Well, I don't hate mustard. I hate ketchup. God, I hate ketchup. I hate ketchup more than communists. Communists smell better. Oh man, but I have had good experiences in Texas. I don't like fucking commies. I don't like the crooked spider people either, but nobody likes the crooked spider people. Nobody sane promotes crooked spider shit. But there's people that claim to be sane that, promote Che Guevara and shit like that on a t-shirt. Like, fuck you. But it is good to go outside this country to realize how good we have it. And I'm sure there's other countries that are almost as good as this one. That would be fine living in. But we're going to go to Spain for 2 weeks, and there's a reason why my ancestors left Spain in the late 1800s, and maybe I'll find the reason why. man. And the only thing I'm concerned about is I haven't met this family that my daughter is going to be living with, and I'm probably not going to like them because I don't like most people. I have to give them the whole whatchamacallit speech from Taken. I will come and find you. How would you know what a communist smells like? Exactly. Hygiene is such a capitalist thing. Well, capitalist does have some bad things, and you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not an anti-capitalist, but corporate takeover shit has just gone too far. You know, it's just gone way too fucking far. Having to buy soap and all that shit. They call us capitalist pigs. Yeah, I'm betting they smell like them. You know. Yeah, deodorant, they make it in your size. You know, just because you don't put it on, you're too lazy. Yeah, there's no reason why somebody should smell like, armpit. Period. That's why I don't like gamers. I don't have time to take a shower. I mean, you need to take a shower every freaking day at least once. If not, you suffer. You're making other people fail a morale check. I did like Texas. I like Tennessee too, because it was kind of like kind of old school. Not the hillbilly shit. Like, the... Why'd you fail a morale check? The French are here. That's why the French and the Germans are always at each other's throat. They're like wondering who's smelling worse than the other. Now that happens everywhere. I hear it happens in Spain too, and maybe we're used to that. Oh well. But there's decent people everywhere. We're more and have more in common with each other based on how we're raised more than what country we're in. Okay, which one of these top? But I got several people that hate everything French. I'm like, have you ever met somebody from France? No. Then what's your deal, man? That's like somebody hating everything about America because they met somebody from New York. Like, we're not New Yorkers, okay? We're not New Yorkers. You want to leave people the hell alone, man. You want to do whatever, you want to believe in whatever, go right ahead. Just leave me the hell alone. I'm from the South. I'm not Southern, but I'm from the South. I'm proudly from the South. Texas isn't the South. Texas is Texas. You're welcome. It's true. Three bad things about capitalism. Corporate takeovers. Yeah, which I didn't know anything about because I was kind of insulated from that, working from for a family-run business, and then it wasn't family-run anymore, and it hasn't changed that much, but still, I could, HOA. Depends how bad your HOA is. My mom has a house that she's renting and it has an HOA, and they are like Nazis, and I don't mean that in a good way. Hey, there's good Nazis. The spelling Nazis are good. That's it. All the other ones suck. They're Nazis in that neighborhood. And constant ads. Yeah, that is pretty bad, isn't it? Proud to be from the South. You may as well be a Southerner. Well, yeah. I actually had somebody that used some language on me that made me like, wow, I haven't heard that in a while. We won't repeat that, but let's just say people don't say that anymore. It was kind of extreme for no reason. I saw one guy it was a truck driver that came in several years ago. He had mud flaps on him, and I'm sure you've probably seen him. Had Yosemite Sam on him on the mud flap. You know, instead of having one of those profile of the girls or whatever on it, had profile. It had the face of Yosemite Sam, cartoon version, and he had the two cross pistols. And instead of having the little flags that come out of the pistols, well, revolvers. I hate calling pistols when for me a pistol's always an automatic. I know that's not accurate, but to me it is. Pistol's always an automatic. He had two revolvers with little flags coming at him, and the little flags that were coming out instead of being a little bang flag was a couple rebel flags, which they don't offend me at all. It's just a thing. I grew up in it. I mean, I don't have them because that's not my people. My people wore shoes, when they came over. But I was going up to go check this guy, and this guy had his mud flaps. I'm like, let me fuck with this little guy because he was a little chubby little dude. And I said, hey driver, those mud flaps are offensive. And he started getting all mad like he was going to tell me something. I said, but not to me because I've never been owned. We were over in the old country eating empanadas where you guys were fighting here with no shoes. He just laughed. He thought I was going to, really going to be offended by it. I'm like, over in the old country eating empanadas. We got 2 weeks of straighten them siesta taking. Should I keep one of these without the mud flaps? Not the mud flaps. I already started about mud flaps. Without the sand shields on it? It's a really good looking view. I like Christie suspension. Well, I got time to put the headlamp on the turret. Maybe the ones on the front, and then this thing's done. Other than this. Well, I'm sure I'm going to go to Britain, and I already told my daughter, so we're going to speak better English than the people we're going to encounter. We're going to get there, and it's going to be a lot of, when I grew up, I don't know if there's any Brits watching this, but it's true. You probably know what I'm talking about. When I grew up, and you encountered British people in the cinema, it was people that spoke high English. Not Shakespeare crap. I can't understand that shit either. I'm talking about, people that were well-spoken. And now, you've got all these commoners. I'm just Southern gentry now. That I don't, and they have them from every, demographic. There's people that speak Spanish that I can't understand what the hell they're saying. There's people that speak English. I don't know what the hell they're saying, I just assume people in England, they invented the language, like, pronounce all the letters. That's going to be interesting. I love you British guys. You know it. I don't know about the British women. They don't come on my show. The Matilda, Comet, and Crusader, your favorite British tanks. Why the Comet? Why the Comet? And I can tell you why I don't like the Comet. I don't hate the Comet. But the Comet comes in one color. Boring. It has a gun that is much lamer than the 17. The 17 pounder is freaking phenomenal weapon. A freaking phenomenal weapon. It penetrates more than the Panther's gun. That's a lot. Plus, it looks good, It's got this kind of suspension, so it's got that going for it. I'll build one. I'm not anti-building one. I'm just like, this 77 is like a Debbie Downer. Like, we have the 17 pounder. We'll make a shorter version that's not as good. Like, why? Speed? Was it that much faster than a Sherman? It should with that name. Maybe I need to read more about it. I'm not putting an American star on it, though. That's stupid. I'm not putting American stars on vehicles that aren't American. That's dumb. Tony's rules. Nope. Ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna do it. You like light tanks? Oh, I like light tanks for sure. There's a few light tanks coming. Unfortunately, not as many as I would have wanted, but I would have found myself dripping in honey, if you know what I'm saying. Are the cruiser considered lights? I don't. I don't consider them because at the time that these guys were a thing, they were the main battle tank. So I don't consider these a light tank. I don't even consider, when you're talking about the desert, a honey is not, doesn't seem like a light tank. I mean, it can hold its own against a Panzer III. You know, it's better than a Panzer II. It's the best light tank of the war, save, save the Chaffee, which really isn't is it Chaffee or Chaffee? The problem is there's a road in Jacksonville, and it's called Chaffee Road. So, I call it a Chaffee. But anyways, that's a cheater. If there's somebody that's cheating in the light tank world, it's that tank, because it's just too good to be a light tank. It's got damn near the same armor as Sherman does, and it's got the same gun as the Sherman does, or at least the 75. I mean, that's just a cheater tank. That thing is, that shouldn't be called a light tank at all. But the Honey's the best one. The Stuart is the best light tank. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. It's reliable. I mean, it might be a little too tall. Somebody might complain that it's a little too tall. The profile's a little too tall. Well, freaking hide, man. It's short. It's reliable. Has good suspension on it. It got used a lot. Its gun's not terrible. It is a light tank. I want to see one of those 37. They made a canister round for it. So a canister 37 millimeter. Probably didn't have a big spread, but man, I don't want to get hit by a 37 millimeter shotgun. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be bad. I'm sure if I were to go to UK, I'd stick out like a sore thumb. I have very thick accent. If you you'll hear banjos when I talk. Well, you'd be surprised. Some of those women might actually find that attractive. And I'm not making that up. I mean, I'm just saying that. I don't know how I know that, but sometimes they like something that's just very out there. I mean, I don't. There's a girl. She's on my feed all of the time because she does stuff with firearms, and she's super cute, but her accent is not my thing. And I'm from the South, but she is deep South, and she doesn't have a deep voice, but it's just super twangy. And I'm like, I wouldn't be able to get past that. And she's super cute, but I'm like, it's some people's thing. I don't think I have an accent. My wife doesn't really have an accent. Thank God she doesn't have a Miami accent. Oh, thank God. Even though she was born there. You need 4 classifications: light, medium, heavy, and damn. I like the 3 classifications too. Don't you do modern? I may be getting you confused with somebody else. I would do modern if it was like, up through like the beginning of the Kennedy administration. Because then you get to do those 3, There's M103s, man. Those M103s are something. I'd like to go to a place that has one of them. I think they've got one in like Fort Benning, or there's some place in Alabama stand that has one. All right, let's see if I can use my new found skill to put these on. Damn, being something like the mouse or something ridiculous. You know, I'm not a fan of the commies, but they got some cool looking tanks. And they might have been a piece of shit, but they still look cool. Those JS4s or JS7s or whatever the hell those things are, some of those things look really sweet looking. I wouldn't want to be inside of one of them. But they look good aesthetically on the outside. They look better than the JS2s. The JS2s don't look bad, but they don't look like great. Some of those post-war, like the T10s and stuff, they look cool looking. I don't like the way JS3s look. They're too small. Like it's a heavy tank that's the size of a German medium tank. JS2 is the same weight as a Panther, and it's smaller, which I guess is more practical, but one has almost 100 rounds of ammunition, and the Soviet one has 22. Like, oops. You do Cold War and modern. Yeah, I would do something in the, the war that was never fought, thankfully. You do any Arab-Israeli stuff? Super Shermans are sexy. If they've got the 105, if they got the French 75, and no, not because it's French, it doesn't look as good. But the 105 looks freaking awesome. I played some games that were 73 war, and that's an interesting time period. Okay, so this Joker is done, except for the side skirts. And I need to see if I can find some photographic evidence of some without side skirts. Because it'd be nice to mix them up. I've got 6 of them. I could do partial, but I don't think I've seen any evidence of them being with partial ones. And then same thing, we'll glue them to the hull, and then we'll pop this off when it's time to do that. But I've got a video I'm planning on doing while I have guests that are loud around. And it's a couple of how to paint things. People have asked me how to paint desert stuff or how I do them, and I could do those videos and film them, and there could be a lot of noise in the background. And I'm going to tune out the volume anyways, and I'm going to play them. I'm going to do them in, fast forward speed, so that shouldn't affect anything. All right, folks. Well, enjoy your Friday. It's nearly Friday. Like I like to say, Friday starts in about 12 hours or so, 10 hours. And we'll see you back here at Crusaders Station later this weekend. Oh, it would help if I put them in the field of view. There we go. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by.